After the stunning lack of success of Action 52, Active Enterprises did not rest on their laurels. They knew they didn't have a franchise-starting group of characters, but that wasn't going to stop them. So, they put together a sequel to Cheetah Men, and then they slapped it onto a cartridge. And you might wonder, how could this slapdash thing possibly look even worse than Action 52? Well, it's very easy. All you got to do is take the Action 52 cartridge outside and reverse it. Then you've got a brand new cartridge. But how would you differentiate it? It looks like Action 52 on the other side. So you just put a label on it that says Cheetah Men 2. This effort in slapdash game creation was never actually released, and we have to bear that in mind when we have a look at this thing. But a few copies did get found in a warehouse clearance, so they are out there. They're rare as hen's teeth, but they are out there. And I don't have a copy. Chances are, neither do you. This is the rarest NES game possible to get. So we're going to have to boot up the old emulator again and take a look. And remember, this thing was never released. So, we're probably not in for the greatest experience. But let's have a look anyway. The game begins with a fairly decent title screen and an intro sequence which explains the plot. So there's this guy called Dr. Morbius, and he's the baddie. You can tell this because he's dressed like a Poundland supervillain, and apparently he created the Cheetah Men, but they don't like him. So now he's created some more monstrosities, and everyone's gonna have a fight. It's not the best introduction ever, but it's what we've got, so let's go with it. Gameplay is standard for an Action 52 side-scrolling action platformer. You walk to the right, and you've got a ranged attack. Enemies come at you quickly, and you'll either have to shoot them or jump to avoid them. If you jump onto a higher platform and try to drop down to the ground, you will have to be very careful, because falling too far will, of course, kill you. This is essentially using the Ooze engine with a bit of Cheetah Men on top. Unfortunately, a lot of enemies come at you across the ground, and you can't shoot across the ground, so you're going to have to jump. You also can't duck, which means that you're going to have to either jump and hope your timing's good so you fire precisely in order to hit the enemy, or take a hit. You do have a health bar, but it only lets you take 3 or 4 hits, then you're dead. And also, some enemies will run in along the ground the moment that you land from a jump. So, I've never worked out how to actually avoid these enemies. Either my reflexes are too slow these days, or the game was not play tested, because a lot of these enemies are exactly where you need to land from a jump that you have to do. Whether this game was play tested or not, I'll let you decide on that, but since it was never released, and the previous games on Action 52 weren't play tested because they didn't have time, I'm kind of verging on the side that perhaps there was no play testing at all. There's got to be a reason this thing never came out. The music is the same as the music from the first Cheetah Men game, and I'm pretty sure the graphics are too. Well, all except for the ones that now have outlines drawn around them. Those aren't in the same art style, so either they're drawn fresh for this game, or they've been pulled in from another Action 52 game and not adjusted to fit. Other graphics are either not finished or not rendered properly. There's a suit of armour that doesn't appear to have anyone inside it. But it's not going to let that stop it, because it will attack you anyway. Thankfully you can shoot it with an arrow and it will die, which is weird. So maybe the wearer is invisible, I just don't know. Movement is surprisingly fluid though, and the jump mechanic isn't all that bad. It may have been tweaked, although it does still have a lot of the same flaws as other platformers that use the Ooze platform engine from Action 52. In all honesty, this could have been a decent game. If the developers had had more time to polish it, there is something here and I kinda like it. I do have to wonder if Cheetah Men 2 was meant to be on the Action 52 cartridge. You've got to remember, there were 8 extra spaces on that cartridge. The game cartridge is set up for 60, and they only did 52. There's 8 other game blocks essentially there. And we did kind of see a sequel. Fuzz Power had a sequel with that guy. That's just a recolored version of the Fuzz Power guy. So I'm wondering, Was Action 52 supposed to be on there and just didn't get time for development, so they tried to put it out as a second attempt? It could be. It has a lot of the feel of the original Cheetah Men game, but there are some tweaks, and it's not that bad. Once again, this feels like a budget home computer effort. I wouldn't have been surprised to see this kind of quality put out on a budget label. It's that kind of level, and to be honest with you, it's not as bad as people might make out. But again, we have to take this with the knowledge that this was never released. This was never meant to be seen by the public. It was produced and then sat on. So, we have to take it as it is. I would have loved to have seen more development on this. There is potential here, but as it stands, it is what it is. Play it if you feel like it, or don't. It's not really meant to be consumed by players. So, I'm iffy on saying whether it's good or bad, because it's clearly a first attempt and they didn't go any further with it. I would have loved to have said, yes, go out and get this, or no, avoid this. But in the end, it's up to you. It is out there if you want to play it. But bear in mind, it's not finished. It's clearly not finished. But they must have had an attempt to sell it. It's a very strange instance, really. It was there in a warehouse. The cartridges were made. We never saw them. Was it just too late? I don't know. But either way, it's not as bad as you might expect, given the reputation of Action 52 and everything else. I don't mind it. I'm not going to recommend it, though. Make up your own decisions. Okay, guys, that's all I've got time for today. It's one of those games where it's like, oh, should I or shouldn't I? But I hope you've enjoyed this anyway. I've been Zoe Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching GameHammer. Remember to click the like button and give me a comment. Do you think we should be analysing this on the grounds that at some point there was clearly an intention to release it because it's got cartridges? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation about this one with you. But until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk-Robinson. You've been watching GameHammer. Take care, have a great day, and happy gaming. Bye-bye. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk-Robinson. I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Porterini. Thank you so much, guys.